Hello, Peter. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah. Good. Good. Thank you.
Good. Are you able to turn the your camera on?
Yeah. I should be able to. Oh, here we go.
Fantastic. Great to
Yeah.
see you.
Yeah. Likewise.
Great to see you. So, how are you today?
Well, very, very good. Thank you.
Excellent. Very pleased to hear it. Very pleased to hear it. Right. I'm already recording so that we can. Did you get the questions?
Maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah.
Shall I? Okay. So I better email them to you or something, hadn't I? You should
All
have.
right.
You
Do
should
you
have
want
had.
to share screen?
Sure. Um, can you see that?
I can. Yes, I can see that.
So, what's the biggest challenge your ideal client faces?
Right. Well, the ideal client is a business owner, a private or family business, and they're thinking about passing the baton on to the family or selling the business, exiting in some way. So, yeah, my ideal client is somebody who's within 10 years of exiting their business. Those who want to get out tomorrow, it's a bit harder. So it's ideal to have somebody who's got a time frame to work for or towards, help them identify what their exit options are and put together a plan to implement it.
And what are the common mistakes people have made when trying to solve that problem without any help?
Um, Two things. I mean, it starts with evaluation. You've got to have a realistic idea of what the business is worth. Some owners try to get something they'll never achieve, and others really leave too much on the table. They give it away. And then the business needs to be made sale ready. A lot of businesses we work with are they're doing all right financially. Not all of them, of course, but if they get a good scorecard financially. But then, what about the non-financial issues, and how ready is that business for sale? And by sale, I mean it would include transition to co-owners or employees or a family.
So, what would you describe as so some of the issues that people have when it comes to that not being sale ready?
Well, they may, for example, be the business, so that they've really got to ask the question, well, what's left? What does the buyer get after I'm gone?
Sure, sure.
And so there's a lot that can be done even for a very small business to make it less dependent on its owners. Also, things like their systems, their procedures, that they're as easy as possible for somebody else to pick up and run with.
Yeah, it's often true, isn't it, that you can get something like 3 times the sale price if your business isn't documented, but closer to 6 or 7 if it is, because it makes it so much easier for the new buyer to pick up.
Absolutely. So they're probably the two things: owner dependence, not having everything just in your head, but written down and easily accessible. Are we still on air?
Yes, we're still on air. Sorry, you carry on.
It's only here. Yep, that's all right. This computer seems to drive itself.
No, you sounded fine.
All right. So yeah, they're the and also perhaps just not really knowing how to go about it or even understanding the financials of a business. For example, you might have a panel beater or some other tradesperson, could be an architect, doctor. I've worked with people from medical specialists to scrap metal dealers. They're good at their particular trade or profession, but they may not necessarily have the nous to prepare a business and set it up in a way that it'll be attractive for someone else to own.
Yes, of course. Brilliant. So what's the valuable free action or the valuable free resource that you can direct people to that will help with that problem?
Probably the best thing is a book that I co-wrote with a colleague called Craig West, and it's called Enjoy It. And it works through a 21-step process. There are 5 stages, and each one of those stages has various steps. We start by identify value of the business. Then we want to protect its value. The third thing is to increase or enhance its value, to maximize its value. Then we look at extracting the value. And the final step is, well, now the business is sold, what do we do with the cash? How do we manage that value? Could be 15, 20 years after the owner has exited the business that they need to, they've drawn their last paycheck from the business. They still have to survive. They have different sets of issues. They have families, whatever. And what are they going to do over that, for those next few years?
So where can we get a copy of that book, Peter?
Well, that's on our website. So it's just a matter of clicking in and the link and getting it.
Can you point us to that website? We're just telling us where it is.
Yes, that's Succession Plus. You might have it .co.uk.
So that's Succession Plus. That's PLUS.
Yes, Succession PLUS. Just
.co.uk.
Yeah, try that, and that should get you there.
Terrific. We'll get everybody to go and immediately start looking at that book and starting to implement those steps, because they sound like the right steps to take. Even if you're not thinking about selling your business, they sound like the right steps to take in order to be able to start building value in an existing business. Even if you're not thinking of exiting, you've got
absolutely
for years in advance, haven't you?
Yeah. In fact, the better lead time you have working through a plan, the better it is. And what we found is that there are surveys that have been done by a number of universities, certainly in this part of the world, where they found that as few as 1 in 10 owners would have a written exit or succession plan. Now, some surveys give a higher figure, but I've had accountants turn up at my seminars, and one in particular, he wrote to me afterwards and he said, well, I'm surprised that as many as 1 in 10 has a written exit plan. I'd never seen one in the last 25 years I've been in private practice.
Wow. Okay, that's brilliant. So you talked then about that book. Are there other concepts or talks that have made a significant impact in your experience?
Yes. I mean, my own experience of getting into this, I'm a financial planner. I started out as an insurance advisor that got into investment. I had a business with based here in New Zealand, with 30 associates here and another 20 in Australia, just in the states of Victoria and Tasmania. And I sold that. And in the process of selling it, I discovered the steps that you need to go to come out of it, or go through to come out of a business successfully. And there was some research going on in a university in Melbourne as well as here in Auckland. And I got into that and I said, well, hey, maybe I can help others who've got the same issues. And then I was at a breakfast meeting for financial advisors in Auckland. And I happened to sit next to the head of advisory services for the ANZ Bank, which is the largest bank in New Zealand. And he knew what I'd been doing previously. How's it going? I said, I've sold out. Oh, well, what are you going to do next? And I sort of told him what I had in mind about succession planning. He said, we should be doing that in the bank.
Yeah.
2 months later, I was an employee at the bank. 12 years associated with the bank before I finally, I won't say retired because I'm still doing this these days, working from home office, but I'm associated with now with Succession Plus, which is the largest succession and exit planning business in Australia, a separate company here in New Zealand, and also it started in the UK in 2019. Wonderful timing, just before COVID.
Well, even those, I think it's heightened things, hasn't it? That the crisis like that has started making people aware of just how they build value in their business, and how, even within the crisis, there have been opportunities for growing and building your business. People just have to recognize it.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, some of the clients I've had thought the business was only worth the value of the assets, had no idea of its going concern value, and we're absolutely amazed at what they got. Others, of course, are in the opposite situation. It's likely exiting the business is likely to be the biggest transaction anybody does.
Yeah, absolutely. And it, as you said, it requires significant planning. And if you can actually start your business knowing where you're going to end up, you end up with a much higher valuation anyway.
Absolutely. Yes, the old saying, begin with the end in mind.
It's Stephen Covey's book. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So Peter, as we're coming to the end, what is the one question that I should have asked you that I haven't? And if you wouldn't mind answering it as well.
Well, the one question that you should have asked. I think you've covered it pretty well. One of the questions we get, of course, is what does it cost?
Yes.
And that can be answered in a number of ways. I mean, if what we find is that if we can increase the value of the business by a whole lot more than the cost, then it's got to be worth it. And in fact, we can do that many times over. It's not going to happen a day or a week, but we need to set out an implementation plan. So what we do is we analyze the business, then prescribe a remedy, work with the business owners to help them implement the recommendations, and then take them right through to the sale of the business.
That's a great sounding plan for a business, actually, Peter. I like the sound of that for any problem, let alone for a business. It's a business owner is thinking of selling up.
Yes, so that's probably the question. What do you do about implementing the recommendations?
Yeah,
and the answer is we do an advisory program working with them. Usually a meeting, say once a month, and it goes on could be from 6 months, 18 months, whatever is needed. We have some clients been going for a couple of years, just implementing or helping them to, not doing it for them, but guiding them to the implementation of the things that need to be done.
Brilliant. And where can we find out more information about all of that?
Website's best starting place.
And that's Succession Plus.
Yes.
.co.uk.
That's right.
Terrific. And that's where we'll be sending all of the listeners to this immediately to read up on that. I think that's a brilliant set of advice. Thank you, Peter, very much for your time. Appreciate your efforts, and I hope that this brings a whole load of additional stuff to the audience. And just for those of you who are listening, if you want to get notified when we're doing these and you want to keep on our mailing list, if you go to tca.fyi/subscribe, that's tca.fyi/subscribe, that's the place where you can get all the sort of information, and you will see more of these sort of interviews in the future. Peter, thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate the time you've spent with us, and I hope that people get value out of going to that successionplus.co.uk website and seeing how that helps them to build their business better.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Peter, very much indeed.
Okay, bye.
And I have